नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य स्तोत्र शत श्री श्रीमद His Divine Grace AC Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada की जय जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य स्तोत्र शत श्री श्रीमद His Divine Grace भक्त सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय नाम आचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय प्रेम से कहिए श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि श्री गौर भक्त वृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन की जय मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय श्री क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय गंगा माई की जय यमुना माई की जय भक्ति देवी की जय तुलसी महारानी की जय पाप मोचनी एकादशी की जय समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द असेंबल्ड डिवोटीज हरे कृष्णा ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द असेंबल्ड डिवोटीज हरे कृष्णा all glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gaurang Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, we welcome all the devotees, especially His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj, in today's reading session. We'll be resuming from Caitanya Caritamrta Adi Leela 7th chapter, Payar 143. So maybe the stage is open to devotees to speak. If someone would like to. Maybe Kendra Broji, if he can start.
So apologies, Hare Krishna to all the devotees. Apologies. We ran a bunch of errands today, and between the weather being kind of fierce and running around a lot, we're both running behind on other scheduled activities, and we're listening to the class, but we're not really able to speak right now, maybe later on in the class. So if you can, I'm pulling the verse up to post it in the chat box, and I can continue to do that throughout the class. But if you can speak on the verse, otherwise it'll take me about a minute and I'll get it up and post it in the chat box. And if someone else wants to speak, but we're in Adi Leela, chapter 7, text 143.
No worries, Mataji. I'll start.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Krishnera charan haya jadi anurag Krishna Venu Anyatra Tara Nahi Rahe Rag. If one develops his love of Godhead and becomes attached to the lotus feet of Krishna, gradually he loses his attachment to everything else. This is the test of advancement in devotional service. As stated in Srimad-Bhagavatam, Bhakti Pareshano Bhava Viraktir Anyatra Cha. In Bhakti, a devotee's only attachment is Krishna. He no longer wants to maintain his attachments to many other things. Although Mayavadi philosophers are supposed to be very much advanced on the path of liberation, we see that after some time they descend to politics and philanthropic activities. Many big sannyasis who were supposedly liberated and very advanced have come down again to materialistic activities. Although they left this world as mithya, false, when a devotee develops false. When a devotee develops in devotional service, however, he no longer has attachment to such philanthropic activities. He is simply inspired to serve the Lord and he engages his entire life in such service. This is the difference between Vaishnava and Mayavad philosophers. Devotional service, therefore, is practical, whereas Mayavad philosophy is merely mental speculation. Reiterating what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke 5,000 years ago on the battlefield, um, that developing attachment to higher principles automatically enables one to get detached from the lower principles. Uh, that's what he spoke in Bhagavad Gita. And then he's re-stressing on that principle again here. And Srila Prabhupada in the comment speaks how because Mayavadi philosophers deny Krishna, any attachment to Krishna or anything like attachment, even that attachment in that sense is Maya for Mayavadi philosophers, and they fail to develop attachment for Krishna, they end up developing attachment for matter. Even though they try to externally renounce, they go by the principles of neti neti. This is not true, that is not true. But because they are unable to develop attachment to the absolute, they eventually fall down and again develop attachment into matter. Srila Prabhupada explains Vaishnava sannyasis or Vaishnavas on the contrary, because they have this higher taste of having a developed sambandha with Krishna. On the strength of that sambandha gyan, they can easily overcome the temporary and petty attachments of the material world. That's what I understood from this verse. Maybe Maharaj can comment on this if he mercifully wishes.
Om Jnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Ayam Rupa Kodamahyam Dadati Shapadantikam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Pashtadesha Krishna Chorane Hoy Yodi Anurag Krishna Binu Anyatra Tar Nahi Rohe Rag. This is like a correlate. Elsewhere we read Krishna Surya Shama Hoy Maya Andakar Yaha Krishna Taha Maya Nahi Adhikar. Where there's Krishna, there can't be Maya. So where there's Krishna consciousness, then we will find there won't be any material attachment left. Krishna, Bhakti Parshanubhavo, Anyatra, Viraktir Anyatra. The natural correlate of devotional service is detachment. Janiyati Ashu Vairagyam Gyanam Cha Yadavaitakam. So as Suchadev pointed out, Rasovajram Rasopyasya Param Drishtva Nivartate. The devotees have a higher taste, and it's practical. That's the point that Prabhupada makes. It's all right, Aham Brahmasmi, I'm spirit, it's all right, but what is my activity as spirit? And Prabhupada points out there are Mayavadi philosophers who are highly regarded, and they say that the world is false, Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya. But then, what are their activities? Their activities all have to do with the false material world. They're engaged in altruistic, philanthropic activities. What does Prabhupada call them? Political and philanthropic activities. If this world is false, then why are you busy in material affairs, trying to make this a better world? Why are you trying to improve the false world? What's your idea? And the reason they're doing it is that they don't have anything better to do. They don't have practical engagements in devotional service to the Lord. That's all Maya. The Lord's form is ultimately Maya. His qualities, individuality, they're all ultimately Maya. But then what do? We engage in politics and philanthropy, which are certainly Maya. So this is the sign that they're not actually advanced. They're not actually advanced. The advanced transcendentalists are the devotees. The neophytes are the impersonalists. But the advanced transcendentalists, the devotees, are always engaged in activities for the satisfaction of Krishna. That's their engagement. That's their sign of their practical advancement. He's inspired, Prabhupada says, inspired to serve the Lord, inspired to serve Krishna, engages his whole life that way. Whereas the Mayavadis get tired after a while of aham brahmasmi, and so they become great philanthropists or they get involved in politics. It appears that Srila Prabhupada has a particular target in mind, but we won't say anything about that. Yes. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. Anybody has got any other comments to make? Or maybe we can move to next verse. 144. Maybe Krishna Kanteya Project can read this, if we can listen us. Krishna Kanteya, bro. If I'm audible, can you please?
Maybe you could ask Dana to read.
Okay, yeah, Dana Mataji. 144.
I apologize, everyone. I'm driving, so I can't read tonight. I apologize.
Oh, no, please.
Okay.
Priyanka Mataji, maybe you can.
I can read if no one's available right now, but Priyanka, if you are, good, that's fine, go ahead.
Okay, Mataji. Hare Krishna. पंचम पुरुषार्थ से प्रेम माधव कृष्णेर माधुर्य रस प्रलय आस्वादन. Love of Godhead is so exalted that it is considered to be the fifth goal of human life. By awakening one's love of Godhead, one can attain the platform of conjugal love, tasting it even during the present span of life. The Mayavadi philosophers consider the highest goal of perfection to be liberation, mukti, which is the fourth perfectional platform. Generally, people are aware of four principal goals of life: religiosity, dharma, economic development, artha, sense gratification, kama, and ultimately liberation, moksha. But devotional service is situated on the platform above liberation. In other words, when one is actually liberated, mukta, he can understand the meaning of love of Godhead, Krishna Prema. While teaching Rupa Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stated, Koti Mukta Madhye Durlabh Eka Krishna Bhakta. Out of millions of liberated persons, one may become a devotee of Lord Krishna. The most elevated Mayavadi philosopher can rise to the platform of liberation, but Krishna Bhakti, devotional service to Krishna, is transcendental to such liberation. Sri Vyasadeva explains this fact in Srimad-Bhagavatam. Dharma projitaha ketavo atra parmo nirmatsaranam satam vedyam vastavam atra vastu shivtam taptrayon mulanam. Completely rejecting all religions which are materially motivated, the Bhagavad Puran propounds the highest truth, which is understandable by those devotees who are pure in heart. The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Such truth uproots the threefold miseries. Srimad-Bhagavatam, the explanation of the Vedanta Sutra, is meant for Paramo Nirvatsaranam, those who are completely aloof from jealousy. Mayavadi philosophers are jealous of the existence of the personality of Godhead. Therefore, the Vedanta Sutra is not actually meant for them. They unnecessarily poke their noses into the Vedanta Sutra, but they have no ability to understand it because, as the author of the Vedanta Sutra writes in his commentary, Srimad Bhagavatam, it is meant for those who are pure in heart, Paramo Nirvatsaranam. If one is envious of Krishna, how can he understand the Vedanta Sutra or Srimad Bhagavatam? The Mayavadi's primary occupation is to offend the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. For example, although Krishna demands our surrender in the Bhagavad Gita, the greatest scholar and so-called philosopher in modern India has protested that it is not to Krishna, that we have to surrender. Therefore, he is envious. Since Mayavadis of all different descriptions are envious of Krishna, they have no scope for understanding the meaning of the Vedanta Sutra. Even if they were on the liberated platform, as they falsely claim, love of Krishna is beyond the state of liberation, a fact stated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and repeated here by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami.
Thank you very much, Mataji. Some comments on this?
So once we are liberated from the material modes, like Sri Rupa Goswami mentions in Sri Prabhupada mentions in Nectar of Instruction introduction, I think, that bhakti begins from the mode of goodness. So once we are situated on the mode of goodness, once we are liberated, at least come to the platform of goodness, from there the path to transcendence begins. It is not the end that when we are free from the kalmasham of material uh, dirt that surrounds us, once we are cleansed of it, once we reach that mode, then the path of bhakti begins. That's all, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mataji. Maybe Maharaj would like to comment something on this.
Pancham Purushartha. Generally, followers of Sanatana Dharma understand the subject matter of Dharma to be Dharma Artha Kama Moksha. To follow some religious principles, the path of righteous activity, and then from that you'll get sufficient prosperity. With prosperity, you can satisfy your senses, have a comfortable life, they enjoy a pleasing life. And finally, one can set all that aside and get liberation. And that's as far as they go. And after liberation, that's it. There is nothing further than that. One merges into some impersonal energy, or there's just no consideration. Liberation is liberation. But here, Pancham Purushartha, there's a fifth goal, and that's love for Krishna. Pancham Purushartha She Prema Mahada. The greatest wealth, the greatest attainment is Krishna Prema. That's, in the fifth dimension, they have 4 dimensions. Fifth dimension, or the fifth stage of love for Krishna, which is post-liberation. What is that? Brahmabhuta prasanatma nushochati nikankshati samasarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim lapate param. Higher than spiritual realization is devotional service. So that devotional service is pointed to here by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Krishna Madhurya Rash Karai Ashwadan. By on that stage, one can taste the nectar of a personal relationship with Krishna, especially Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says Madhurya Ras, or it may be any other relationship with Krishna, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentions the Madhurya Ras. So these topics of Krishna and devotional service to Krishna are on the postgraduate platform of devotional service, which is unknown to the Mayavadis who just keep themselves busy with politics and philanthropy.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. Thank you very much. Now I'll share screen for. So maybe next, someone would like to read. Maybe Ross Pro, if you can read.
Yes.
145.
Prema Haiti Krishna Hai Nija Bhakta Ras, Prema Haiti Paya Krishnara Seva Sukha Ras. The Supreme Lord, who is greater than the greatest, becomes submissive to even a very insignificant devotee because of his devotional service. It is the beautiful and exalted nature of devotional service that the infinite Lord becomes submissive to the infinitesimal living entity because of it. In reciprocal devotional activities with the Lord, the devotee actually enjoys the transcendental mellow of devotional service. Purport. Becoming one with the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not very important for a devotee. Muti Swayam Mukul Itanjali Seva De Sman. Krishna Karnamrita 107. Speaking from his actual experience, Srila Bilva Mangal Thakur says that if one develops love of Godhead, mukti liberation becomes subservient and unimportant to him. Mukti stands before the devotee and is prepared to render all kinds of services. The Mayavadi philosopher's standard of mukti is very insignificant for a devotee, for by devotional service, even the Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes subordinate to him. An actual example is that the Supreme Lord Krishna became the chariot driver of Arjuna, and when Arjuna asked him to draw his chariot between the two armies, Sanayor Ubayor Madhye Ratam Stapaya Na Chutya, Krishna executed his order. Such is the relationship between the Supreme Lord and a devotee, that although the Lord is greater than the greatest, he is prepared to render service to the insignificant devotee by dint of his sincere and unalloyed devotional service.
Thank you very much, Pro. Any comments on this?
No.
Okay. Maybe if Maharaj would like to speak something on this.
We can recall that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was speaking to Prakashananda Saraswati and his Mayavadi followers, the Mayavadi sannyasis. They've been they were critical. Why are you chanting and dancing like a sentimentalist? Why aren't you studying Vedanta Sutra? So first Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pointed out that their study of Vedanta Sutra was misguided, misdirected. They thought that Vedanta Sutra means Mayavad philosophy, merging with the absolute oneness. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was pointing out, then when they were convinced, yes, actually, this explanation isn't right, then what is the actual explanation? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is now unfolding the actual meaning of Vedanta Sutra, which goes so much deeper than what the Mayavadi philosophers imagined. Prema hoite Krishna hoy, nija bhakta vash. Krishna, the ultimate feature of the absolute truth, becomes submissive to his devotee. In Nectar of Devotion, we find that devotional service is exceedingly rare. Why is it rare? Because Krishna doesn't give himself away so cheaply. Devotional service, if someone gets devotional service, Krishna becomes submissive. He comes under the control. Vash means control. He comes under the control of the devotee. So so Krishna's reluctant. I don't want to put myself under the control of some materialistic person who's just looking for sense gratification and wants to, if he offers prayers to me, it's please give me this, please give me that. Please let me be the controller and enjoyer. Let me satisfy my own envious agenda. Krishna doesn't want anything to do with that. So rarely does he give devotional service. He may give the things wanted. All right, here's the wife, here's the money, here's the fame. Even here's mukti. But as far as giving pure devotional service, that's with great reluctance, because then there's such a close relationship that Krishna becomes the servant even of the devotee. So, Nija Bhaktavash, Krishna, this is the sweetness of devotional service. The devotee wants to serve Krishna, and Krishna wants to reciprocate. Krishna wants to reciprocate. It's not just one way that we all fear God, we all serve God, we all tremble before God and offer God our sacrifices or our prayers. But God reciprocates, and not just by answering our prayers, but by entering into a personal relationship with the devotee. And then, prema hoite by Krishna, by devotional service, one attains, prema hoite by Krishna, one attains Krishna's Sheva Shuparas, the nectar of transcendental happiness in service to Krishna. Krishna's Seva. Merging with Krishna is insignificant. That was the realization of Bilva Thakur. That's nothing. But Seva Sukha Ras, the transcendent, that what is that, Karuna Alada? Since I've tasted the nectar of devotional service, the It's like an ocean. And the happiness of liberation seems like the water in the hoofprint of a calf. So this is the exceedingly wonderful feature of devotional service, and Prabhupada illustrates it by the example of Krishna Arjuna, Ratam Stapya Mechuta. Krishna's ordering Arjuna, Arjuna's ordering Krishna, Achyuta, please pull the chariot, and not pull it, but yes, draw the chariot up between the armies. And Krishna, yes, sir. So Krishna has become the charioteer of Arjuna. That was the realization of the illiterate Brahmin. He couldn't read Bhagavad Gita, but he was at least trying on the order of his spiritual master. But although he was illiterate, he was crying while reading, because he thought of Krishna and how Krishna was so kind that at Kurukshetra he'd become the charioteer of his devotees. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "You're the actual scholar of Bhagavad Gita." So here, this is actually Vedanta Sutra, not just some impersonal understanding, but this transcendental relationship between Krishna and the devotee.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for your comments. Radhesh Pro wants to say something. Proji, please.
Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances, Guru Maharaj. All glories to all the devotees. I was just noticing I really appreciated your comment on the previous verse, Guru Maharaj. You were mentioning that because the Mayavadis consider the form of the Lord impersonal, they consider the Lord himself impersonal. Therefore, all the other subsequent dealings they have in philanthropy and mundane dealings, all of those are also illusory. You know, naturally, all their subsequent dealings are all on the platform of illusion. And I was noticing in this verse, when the Lord becomes submissive to his devotee, naturally, one of the aspects of his reciprocation is that all their subsequent dealings also become transcendental. The devotee may be doing some philanthropy or may be doing some mundane work, seemingly mundane, but because they're devotees, then Krishnera seva sukharasa. Then yeah, they're enjoying all their activities, not just some ephemeral platform of the Lord is submissive to this devotee, but in a practical sense, even all of their dealings have become Krishnaized. So I was appreciating your comment on the previous verse about the Mayavadis and how it's just the opposite for the devotees. Even seemingly mundane activities are on the transcendental platform.
Nice, thank you.
Thank you very much, Radhesh Prabhuji. Priyanka Mataji has brought out that verse that Maharaj was quoting. Samashataya pad pallavam plavam mahat padam punya yasho murare bhavam buddhir vatsa padam param padam 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 yad vipadam padesham. Thank you very much, Mataji, for bringing that up.
That's a
Praveen,
beautiful verse. It's not the one I had in mind, but it's a beautiful verse. Verse I had in mind, we could probably, well, Praveen will probably turn it up if he spends a minute or two. Tvat sakshat karnalada vishuddhabdi stitasyame sukani gosh padayante brahmanyapi jagadguru. My dear Lord, Master of the universe, since I've directly seen you, my transcendental bliss has taken the shape of a great ocean. Situated in that ocean, I now realize all other so-called happiness to be like the water in the hoofprint of a calf. Hari Bhakti Shuddhode. And there's some questions. Does the insignificant devotee refer to the neophyte or the Mahabhagavat devotee, since Krishna becomes submissive? Of course, and then a similar question, Bianca asks, what's the significance of insignificant? Significance of the word insignificant devotee. From one point of view, who is Krishna? What is that? Sudama Brahman. Who is Krishna? The Supreme Personality of Godhead. And who am I? Just a poor, insignificant Brahmin. Maybe you can turn that one up, Praveen. Who am I? And compared to Srini Caitanya, the husband of the goddess of fortune, the Sudama Brahman was thinking in that way. The devotee always considers himself insignificant. Devotee never thinks, I'm a very important devotee, I'm the leading devotee, I'm the most qualified devotee. The devotee always thinks himself insignificant. So one way of looking at it, yes. So that's one point. And another point is, let's see, it's probably, I see a new message, it's probably the verse. Yeah, it is. Kwaham Daridra Papiyan Kwa Krishna Sri Niketana Brahma Bandhur Iti Smaham Bahubhyam Parirambita. Who is Krishna? Sri Niketana, the husband of the goddess of fortune. And who am I? Just a poor sinful Brahmin, or Brahma Bandhu, friend of a Brahmin, unqualified Brahmin. But Krishna has embraced me with his arms. How extraordinary that Krishna is so kind that he's reciprocated with me in that way. Yes, there's the translation. So this is the feeling of the devotee, that I'm just insignificant. Krishna's wives are telling Draupadi that their history, how they were married with Krishna, and they tell the story. Krishna kidnapped me. Krishna bound up the bulls and made them like little toy animals. Krishna pierced the fish target that my father placed on the ceiling. In this way, Krishna did this, Krishna did that. And so now he's accepted me. Even I'm just a sweeper in his house, but he's treating me like his wife. So they're all expressing that same spirit, that I'm just an insignificant servant, but Krishna is giving me so much importance. Krishna is giving me so much attention. Krishna is giving me so much love. So that feeling is there, and that feeling is there in Prabhupada's purport, in his prayer. Most insignificant beggar. Most insignificant beggar. So Prabhupada was hardly insignificant, but he's feeling insignificant. He could have said, who am I? I'm the author of 3 volumes of Srimad-Bhagavatam, and I'm writing more, and I'm the only one who's undertaken the voyage to America. All my godbrothers have stayed behind. But a poor, insignificant beggar. And even in this purport, Prabhupada is expressing the same feeling of the devotee. the devotee feels himself insignificant. And from another point of view, who is Krishna? He's Shadaishwarya Purna, Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, complete in 6 opulences. And who are we? Mama Vamsha. We're just tiny Chitkam, tiny little sparks of consciousness compared to the complete absolute whole, the totality of all consciousness, totality of all opulence, totality of all everything. So compared to Krishna, I mean, after all, what is the meaning of insignificant? Very small, very tiny, not of much importance. Though a speck of dust is, how important is it compared to the cosmos? And that's our position. We're like little, what is this? Tatuli Sadrisham Vichinte. Please consider me like a speck of dust at your lotus feet. This is the feeling of the devotee, that actually I am insignificant, I'm very small. It's not just a sentiment. It's by objectively speaking, we're 1/10,000th the tip of a hair, and in Krishna, all the universes reside. So he's, by his breathing, all the universes come out, and by his inhalation, they're all destroyed. Millions of Brahmas, millions of demigods, and millions of universes. So how important are we? We're tiny. Prabhupada said, what is the use of your doll and chapatis? Krishna can create an infinite number of servants like you in a moment. So insignificant. We're very tiny. Krishna's independent, Swarat. He doesn't need our service. Materially speaking, I may need someone's service. Without your help, I can't do this. Without your help, I can't do that. A bedridden patient, without the help of the nurses, he can't eat even, can't sit up. So and even powerful men, who you want to be president, you depend on so many other people to get you there. And we're all dependent. And Krishna is totally independent. He doesn't need anyone. He's self-sufficient. But out of kindness, out of love, he accepts the service of the devotee. He accepts a loving relationship with the devotee. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is revealing these deep and relishable truths to the Mayavadi sannyasis. Now that they've approached him submissively, at first it was, what are you doing? You're a member of our sampradaya. You're just behaving like some sort of sentimentalist instead of taking life seriously and studying Vedanta Sutra. But now we admit that our study of Vedanta Sutra was misguided. So you please tell us the meaning of Vedanta Sutra, real meaning. And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is doing that. Vedanta, the conclusion, the end, the limit of knowledge, Veda, is found here in Pancham Purushartha. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for such detailed answer to both the questions by Priyanka Mataji and Praveen Pro. Both of them answered here. Moving ahead, maybe we can cover 146. And if someone would like to read, that would be very nice.
I can read.
Yes, thank you very much, Baji. I'll just share screen.
Sambandha bhideya prayojana nam etin artha sarva sutre paryavasan one's relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, activities in terms of that relationship, and the ultimate goal of life to develop love of God. These three subjects are explained in every aphorism of the Vedanta Sutra, for they form the culmination of the entire Vedanta philosophy. In Srimad-Bhagavatam it is said, Parabhavastavada bodha jato yavanna jignasata atmatattvam. A human being is defeated in all his activities as long as he does not know the goal of life, which can be understood when one is inquisitive about Brahman. It is such inquiry that begins the Vedanta Sutra, Atato Brahma Jignasa. A human being should be inquisitive to know who he is, what the universe is, what God is, and what the relationship is between himself, God, and the material world. Such questions cannot be asked by cats and dogs, but they must arise in the heart of a real human being. Knowledge of these four items, namely oneself, the universe, God, and their internal relationship, is called Sambandha Jnana, or the knowledge of one's relationship. When one's relationship with the Supreme Lord is established, the next program is to act in that relationship. This is called Abhideya, or activity in relationship with the Lord. After executing such prescribed duties, when one attains the highest goal of life, love of Godhead, he achieves Prayojana Siddhi, or the fulfillment of his human mission. In the Brahma Sutra or Vedanta Sutra, these subjects are very carefully explained. Therefore, one who does not understand the Vedanta Sutra in terms of these principles is simply wasting his time. This is the version of Srimad-Bhagavatam. Dharma svanushtita spungsang vishvaksena katasuha notpade yadritim shrama evahi kevalam. One may be a very learned scholar and execute his prescribed duty very nicely, but if he does not ultimately become inquisitive about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is indifferent to Shravanam Kirtanam, hearing and chanting, all that he has done is but a waste of time. Mayavadi philosophers who do not understand the relationship between themselves, the cosmic manifestation, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead are simply wasting their time, and their philosophical speculation has no value.
Any comments on this, Guruji?
No, I'm very happy to hear from others. I feel like it's stated so succinctly and nicely that I'm just reveling in the joyful realization that all our endeavors become fruitful in connection with the Supreme Lord, beginning from asking the question, Atato Brahma Jignasa. When you ask the question, then you're a human being. When Sanatana Goswami asked the questions, who am I? Why am I suffering these threefold miseries? Then our path begins, and then hopefully by the instructions of the spiritual master, then we can engage in abhideya and acting on that platform of devotional service. So it's the mercy of the spiritual master that I've come in touch with these three processes, and now as we embark on this journey, then we're much greater than even a person who's studied so much but come to the wrong conclusion. Even if you're, as Guru Maharaj was saying, the illiterate Brahmin, he can't study, he can't even read, but coming to the right conclusion, he's greater than the greatest scholar. So I'm so pleased with this discussion and to be in all of your company hearing these topics. That's all.
Thank you very much, Guruji. Maharaj, any words on this?
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojan, the relationship between the devotee and the Lord, then activities in that relationship, then Prayojana Siddhi, perfection of love for Krishna. And as Prabhupada pointed out in an earlier purport, the Mayavadis don't even get to Sambandha. The first stage is Sambandha Gyan. They don't get that. Relationship means there must be individuality. There must be the devotee, the Lord, and the process of service to the Lord. That's Sambandha. Or from another point of view, the Lord, the cosmic manifestation, the living entity. there's a relationship between the source of everything and the cosmic manifestation. There's a relationship between the cosmic manifestation and the living entity. There's a relationship between the living entity and the absolute truth. Even there are relationships between one living entity and another. None of this is accessible when one takes to the Mayavadi philosophy. One even blots out. First, we blot out the even relationships between. It's so strange. We out of compassion, we want to help the Daridra Narayans, the so-called poor who are glorified as being manifestations of God. But ultimately, we don't believe in their individual existence. We want to have the compassionate relationship with them, but we think that their existence is false. Sometimes we think it's false. Sometimes we think they're God and we should serve them. It's total confusion. They're God, but I'm also God. Aham Brahmasmi. Why is one God serving another God? If I'm God, why am I particularly after serving the poor God? And what is this distinction? We want non-duality, but we're making the distinction between the rich God and the poor God. This is all, as Prabhupada says, philosophical speculation that has no value, a mental concoction for some political purpose. We come up with these ideas. Why should I serve the poor? Oh, because the poor are God, embodiments of God. But then ultimately, if I deny the individuality of God, what is the meaning of any of this? So they're all in confusion. They're all in the world of imaginative activities, their philanthropy, their politics. And they haven't gotten to even the first stage, that God is the master, I'm the servant, eternally. So there's an eternal relationship between myself and God. God is the source of the cosmic manifestation. So there's a relationship between the cosmic manifestation and God. They miss everything. Everything is finally one. If everything is finally one without variety, then everything is mithya, but they can't exist on that platform. Everything is false. So then they come down to politics and so on. So they're missing the reality. They're missing the reality because the Brahma Satya, that's a fact. The absolute truth is real, but what are the details of that? Because they don't see. There are no details because oneness is oneness. You can't have details in an absolute, homogeneous, undifferentiated absolute. There's no such thing as details. There's just one absolute something. But they can't exist on that platform of one absolute something. So then they get into the details of material activities, being patriots to free their country from subjugation by another country, or opening hospitals, or some sort of philanthropic work. And it's all ultimately useless. That's Prabhupada's conclusion. Time for kirtan.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. I guess we are at almost the end of this session today. Just 5 minutes left. Maybe if some devotee can lead the final kirtan, we are ending with text 146, and maybe next session we'll start with text 147. Some devotee who can lead kirtan for a couple of minutes. Who is interested in this?
Some devotee from Hawaii.
Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai Srimad-Bhagavatam ki, Jai Shri Shri Caitanya Caritamrta ki, Jai Guru Maharaj ki, Jai. All glories to some devotees. All glorious to some devotees. All glorious to some devotees. In Tagore Premanand.
Thank you very much, Rajesh Prabhuji, for the beautiful Kirtan. Special thanks to Maharaj for his even more beautiful explanations to today's purpose. And also thanks to all the devotees for joining today's Chaitanya Caritamrta reading. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Sucharadeva Prabhu, for stepping up to host at the last minute. We very much appreciate it. You did a wonderful job. Hare Krishna.
Mataji.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you very much, Meena. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Chanda,
Maharaj.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Chanda,
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Krishna Kantiya, everyone. All right. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki jai.
Jai.
Gaur Premanande.
Hari Hari Bo.